Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, dear student, this is Dr. Zohar Hussain and we are going to talk about Milton's grand style. So, first of all, we see little bit biography, little bit background of Milton's life. As we know that he was born in 1608, London, England. He is best known for writing Paradise Lost that we people are studying. John Milton was English poet and writer, and he was well versed in Latin, Greek, French, and English. Polyglot, we can say, having knowledge of many languages and mastery over many languages at the same time, expertise in different languages, and scholar of religion too, Christianity too. He has influenced the 18th century was. Milton unfortunately lost his sight in 1653, and later he composed his Paradise Lost. That's why we can find a lot of imagery in his sound imagery too in his Paradise Lost, and he was died in 1674. So Paradise Lost is a long epic poem. Epic is basically a long narrative poem. Milton wrote 12 books for Paradise Lost. The first volume was published in 1667, which consisted of 10 volumes. Second volume followed by 1674, arranged into 12 books. Milton used blank verse in his Paradise Lost, and very deftly, cleverly, we can say skillfully, he handled blank verse in his Paradise Lost. And here we are going to see certain features, certain aspects of Milton's grand style. We can see his blank verse, epic style, epic similes, rhythmic style, Latinized style, elevated speeches, repeated images, allusions and vocabulary, sentences construction. So these are certain aspects that we people are going to discuss in our lecture. So first of all, we'll see what is blank verse. Blank verse is an unrhymed verse. It's very difficult to write in blank verse. That's why a few poets have successfully handled it. Paradise Lost is in blank verse. So for instance, the infernal serpent, it was whose guile stirred up with envy and revenge, deceived the mother of mankind. What time has pride had cast him out from heaven with all his host. So that's an instance, iambic pentameter he has used of man's first disobedience. The first syllable is unstressed and then stressed it, and this pattern goes on. 10 syllables are there in one line, 1 meter, and syllables make in fact 2 syllables. Unstressed and stressed basically is the quality of iambic pentameter, and this format, what we call, is meter, that there are 5 feet and 10 syllables. That's why we call it iambic pentameter. It stands for syllables, and its syllabification is important there. Epic style, a striking feature of Milton's style and Paradise Lost. He uses epic similes. They are expanded to draw complete pictures. They are not just similes. They are, you can see the shield of Saturn, how long it was and how beautifully it has been presented there. As far removed from God and light of heaven, as from the sun to rise to the utmost pole. So, following the epic tradition of Homer and Virgil, Milton introduces the large number of epic similes which are scattered throughout in his works. Milton's style consists of in the excellence of these similes by which they convey his meanings. The basic simile of Book 1 of Paradise Lost are, you can see an instance is there, till on dry land he lights as if it were land that ever burns with solid, as a lake with liquid fire. And such appeared in hue as when the force of subterranean wind transports a hill from the Pelurus or the shattered side of thundering Etna. So we can see how beautifully he has explained this one. Another important feature of Milton's Paradise Lost style is rhythmic style. The measured flow of words and phrases in verse or prose as determined by the relation of long or short, or stressed and unstressed syllables. For instance, here we may reign, and in my choice, to reign is worth ambition, though in hell. Better to reign in hell, to serve in heaven. So these are maxims. These are often quoted lines. These are important lines which have been presented, quoted often by the critics, by the readers, and these have become maxims to be quoted in different places. Latinized styles, he uses a lot of, because he was a scholar, he has used a lot of, we can say, words from Latin too. He does not say Pharaoh and his Egyptian horseman, but Busri's and Memphian chivalry to suggest the splendor of an angelic triumph. He invents periphrases, a vague magnificence. Mean directly he does not convey the message. Indirectly he conveys message. Indirectly he tells what is to be told and what is to be conveyed there. So this is periphrases. Now when the writer is not directly conveying and using certain indirect. Elevated speech, definitely it's another important part, what we call the lofty tone is maintained in the speeches of Saturn. As for this instance in the speeches of Beelzebub, one can't help nothing the rhetorical eloquence with which Saturn encourages the angel. For instance, would though the field be lost, all is not lost. The unconquerable will and the study of revenge, immortal hate, and the courage never to submit or yield, and what is else not to be overcome. So this is how beautifully he uses elevated. His speeches are rhetorical. Just like a great scholar, he makes speeches, oratory is there, and like a great leader, he convinces the followers through a lot of, we can say, similes, powerful words. This is basically his grand style. He touches the heart. He convinces them, even they were in hell, but they have been convinced. Next important element is allusions and vocab. The first aspect of the grand style that most readers notice is the number of allusions and references, many of which seem obscure, although with a arcane and archaic vocabulary. Paradise Lost was not written for an uneducated audience, but in many editions, the explanatory notes are almost as long as the text. So it has a lot there to be explained, to be presented, to be told there. For instance, if we can see in just the first few lines of the poem reference to Orib, the shepherd, the chosen seed, Selaw's brook, and Aeonian Mount occur. So these are a lot of allusions. They need a complete, a comprehensive background interpretation, and they cannot be completed. The purpose of the reference is to extend the reader's understanding through comparison. Most readers will know some of the references, but a few will know all. The question thus arises whether Milton achieved his effect or its opposite. Further, words such as adamantine, dust, compere, sovereign, and many others, both more and less familiar, and an imposing tone to the work. So that sound imagery there. In fact, I told you when Milton was writing this poem, he was blind, and you can see bombastic words. Bombastic imagery is there that is touching your ears, because he couldn't see, he can hear. So sentence construction is another important thing besides the reference and vocab. Milton also tends to use Latinized construction. English is a syntactical language using word order and sentences to produce sense. Latin In contrast is an inflected language in which ending on words indicate the word's functions with a sentence, thereby making word order less important. Latin verbs, for instance, often come at the end of sentence or a direct object may precede a subject. In Paradise Lost, Milton seems purposely to strive for a typical English syntactical patterns. He almost never writes in a single sentence. Partly, this type of inverted at times convoluted syntax is necessary for poetics to maintain the correct meter, but at the other times, the odd syntax itself seems to be Milton's stylistic goal. So, in this passage from Book 8, the exact meaning of the words is elusive because of the Latinate syntax. Soft oppression ceased. My drowsed sense untroubled, though I thought I then was passing to my former state, insensible and forthwith to dissolve. And then we can see a lot of repeated images there. Besides extended similes, Milton also traces a number of images throughout the poem. One of the most apparent is the image of the maze or labyrinth. Over and over in the poem, there are mentions of mazes like the tangled curls of Eve's hair, which finally culminate with serpent confronting Eve on a circular base of rising folds that towered, fold above fold, a surging maze. Other images also run throughout the poem as a kind of tour de force of imagination and organization. Each image opens up new possibilities for understanding Milton's ideas. No doubt, particular aspect of Milton's styles could be presented at large length, but these are sufficient. Milton intended to write in a grand style. That style took the form of numerous references and allusions, complex vocabulary, complicated grammatical constructions, and extended similes and images. In consciously doing these things, Milton devised a means of giving the written epic the bardic grandeur of the original recited epic. In so doing, he created an artificial style that very few writers could hope to emulate through many tried. As the unique styles of Milton, Faulkner, and James Joyce, Milton's style is inimitable. It's very tough. It cannot be easily imitated, can't be easily copied. And those who try to copy it sometimes give the original a bad name. So Milton's style is certainly his own. Elements of it can be criticized, but in terms of his accomplishment in Paradise Lost, it is difficult to see how such a work could be better written in some other style. Milton defined the style of the English epic and, in a real sense, with the real style, ended the genre. And Milton and Paradise Lost, the English epic, ends there. Not from hell one step on, more from himself can fly by charge of place. Milton's style is certainly so thank you. So this was all about Milton's style that we people have studied here.